their own, government had proposed additional 10 billion, subject to the approval of the National Assembly. That's why we're talking about 120 billion, because of the 10 billion naira increase by the federal government. Our committee has defended that on why the Senate Committee on Appropriation should approve the 10 billion naira addition proposed by Mr. President in the budget proposal he laid before the National Assembly. But we have also tried to take it beyond that to say, in addition to the 10 billion naira proposed by the executive arm of government as laid by Mr. President, the committee should also consider the possibility of adding another 10 billion naira. As we speak, there are people awaiting trials as a result of the various insecurity problems that we have in the country. Whether you call them bandits, whether you call them terrorists, whether you call them gunmen, whether you call them gun women, the truth about it is there's so much insecurity in the country, and this has brought additional burden on the judiciary to the extent that our constitution still guarantees the freedom of right to freedom of hearing. There must be fair hearing to everyone who is alleged. Once he's arrested, he's apprehended and brought to court. So there are people, and this means additional responsibility for the judiciary, and that's just one of the examples. So we are convinced as a committee that there's a need to give more money to the judiciary. The second reason we're also convinced that the judiciary deserves to have more money is that COVID-19 opened the eyes of everybody, to the need for every court to be properly, placed in a position where there can be virtual hearing. You must be ready to deploy technology, all manners of technology that will make it possible for lawyers to electronically file their cases, that will make it possible for lawyers to be able to engage in virtual hearing, that will make it possible for courts to be able to sit virtually. All of these require deployment of technology, and they don't come cheap. And we're talking of all levels of court, from the magistrate courts to the state high court, to the federal high court, to the Court of Appeal, to the Supreme Court, aside from some other specialized courts like the National Industrial Court and the Code of Conduct Tribunal and other court-related sittings. So definitely there's a need to give more money to the judiciary to be able to respond to the global best practice standard needs that are confronting them, as of today. So it is for all of these reasons that as a committee in both chambers, we are asking that the Senate Committee on Appropriation should take it beyond the 120 billion naira proposed by the federal government for year 2022 to a sum of 130 billion naira. The details of the budget of the judiciary that we can give is what we have just given. To begin with, it's a sum of 120 billion naira. We have also added the list of the courts, among which this sum is shared. Not only courts, also judicial bodies, Federal Judicial Service Commission, Judicial Service Committee of FCT, and all the other relevant agencies. And the sum of 120 billion is also divided into two. A portion of it is going into personnel, which has to do, it's going to recurrent with two aspects. Personnel, which has to do with payment of salaries and allowances of judicial officers and staff, as well as overhead, which is what they use to run the courts. And then the other aspect of the budget is the capital. It's important that there's 120 billion naira that they have. The list of courts that are involved. even as part of our oversight, it is not our responsibility to monitor every court by the day to say how much is given to you to buy lunch, if you are going to buy lunch for your staff. But it's important for us to know that each sum appropriated to a court under the NJC budget is, implemented, is judiciously, spent in ensuring that the court is able to sit, the court is able to conduct its trials, and as much as possible, people are able to get justice. I don't think what's happening in Nigeria is a strange peculiarity of our country. It is the global best practice. I'm not sure if anyone can tell what is the detail of the budget of the State Security Service, of the National Intelligence Agency. It is because these are peculiar institutions that when it comes to overriding national interests, overriding national security, you have to be able to handle such things in a way that the security of the country is not compromised. And as much as possible, I would be more concerned if what we are talking about is a judiciary that has a budget of 1 trillion naira or a budget of 500 billion naira. We're talking of a judiciary which is an arm of government whose budget is not even up to 1% of the entire budget, And please, let's continue to note this. So, yes, we may choose to create some sensation around the fact that we do not have the details of the budget of the judiciary. But I think public interest will be better served by the media as the fourth estate of the realm, championing the cause of the people, the cause of justice, by asking, that the budget of the judiciary should be at least 1% of the budget of this country, being an arm of government. But if we go into the sensation of what is the detail of their budget, there's a way that distracts from what is supposed to be our primary concern of ensuring that we have a judiciary that is well funded so that its independence is not compromised, so that it does not go cap in hand to other arms of government for its survival.
All right. Thank you.